The father wants to know, how have you been all this time? Were you okay? What happened to you when you went? And he could have told him, well, they threw me in a well and I was freezing and I got bit by a snake and I was getting hypothermia and then somebody brought me out and they beat me up and they threw me in the back with the animals and they sold me in a market and then I was serving somewhere as a slave and I had to learn their language. And then there was this crazy lady, and he doesn't complain about any of his pain. He knows right now it's time to give my dad relief. He says, Allah was so good to me the day He brought me out of prison.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب قد آتيتني من الملك وعلمتني من تأويل الأحاديث فاطر السماوات والأرض أنت ولي في الدنيا والآخرة توفني مسلما وألحقني بالصالحين.
رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. In today's episode of Quran for Hearts and Minds, the Power of Maqamat, we're going to talk about a continuation from what we did last time. We looked at the sadness and the overwhelming grief of Yaqub alayhi salam, and how at the end of it he tried to find some relief and some comfort. But now Allah is going to take that struggle to find relief and is going to open it up and create a relief for both the victims in the story, both Yaqub alayhi salam and Yusuf alayhi salam. And one by one, all of these knots in their heart are going to be unraveled and they're going to finally be able to breathe a sigh of relief. So Allah says, فَلَمَّا جَاءَ الْبَشِيرُ أَلْقَاهُ عَلَى وَجْهِهِ. When the good news came and he cast it on his face, this is when the brothers came back and the shirt was put on his face. فَارْتَدَّ بَصِيرًا. And all of a sudden those years of crying that had rendered him blind, he could see again. And he could also perhaps even literally he could see again, but also it's as if he could see hope in life again. فَارْتَدَّ بَصِيرًا قَالَ أَلَمْ قُلْ لَكُمْ إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And now he's, all the people that were calling him crazy, now he's telling them, didn't I tell you all along that I know something from Allah that you have no knowledge of? Didn't I tell you Allah's promise is true? Because he knew that this is going to happen in the end. He had this conviction because of the dream he saw of his son, that something special is going to happen. Allah will fulfill His promise. There's no way Allah is not going to leave that promise. You remember in the beginning of the story, he told his son, Allah will absolutely complete His favor upon you. So there's no way he would believe that Yusuf alayhi salam is lost or he's dead. But the fact that you don't know what happened to your child, right? What suffering they're in, where they might be now. That's the anxiety that he was living in. قالوا يا أبانا استغفر لنا ذنوبنا إنا كنا خاطئين. Now the same sons that were humiliating him, yelling at him, getting angry at him, lying to him. It starts with the worst abuse that we saw last episode, and then it took many other forms of abuse for an entire generation. In fact, the isharat in the Quran are that those sons, their wives used to insult him, and their children used to insult him too. Because when he says, إِنِّي لَأَجِدُ رِيحَ يُوسُف, and then he says, لَوْلَا أَن تُفَنِّدُونَ. The tufannidun, the sons are not there in the house. When he says, I can smell the scent of Yusuf even though you people think I'm crazy, right? You call me insane. His sons are actually out somewhere in Egypt. They're on the way back. They're not back yet. So who is he talking to, right? He's talking to his sons' wives and his grandchildren. And they all call him crazy too. So it's not just the sons that insulted him, it's the whole family. He's a crazy old man, he's a crazy old man. And he's the only one saying, I can smell Yusuf, and he says these words. And now and they laugh at him, or they say, just let him talk, he's just, senile, etc. And at the end of all of that, he gets to say, didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you, right? So that's a relief by itself. And now they're apologizing to him after all those years of abuse. The same people that were hurting you are the same people that are apologizing. That itself is a relief. That you see, because sometimes people hurt you and they're not even sorry. They hurt you and they don't even feel guilty. And now for the first time you're seeing the people that hurt you They're saying sorry. Even if you don't want to accept their apology yet, if you're not ready to accept their sorry, there's still a moment of relief that at least Allah has humbled these people. Like the same people that used their arrogance and their rage, and they saw themselves as a usba and all of that stuff. They used that against you, and now Allah has put them in a state where finally they don't have that power over you anymore. Because them apologizing also means their days of oppressing you are over, right? So they say, inna kunna khati'in, we've always been making a mistake. We've been in the wrong all along. قَالَ سَوْفَ أَسْتَغْفِرُ لَكُمْ رَبِّي. Pretty remarkable that even though he has that relief, he's not immediately giving out free forgiveness cards. He's saying, I'll do it soon. I'll soon ask Allah for forgiveness for you, right? As if to say, I don't know if I can trust your apology yet. That's a lot of years of abuse and 1 minute of an apology. So I'm not sure if this apology is more trustworthy or those years of behavior is more trustworthy. So we'll get there. I will make dua for you, but not yet, not quite yet. And then after that, when they come, this scene is so beautiful. When they finally reach Egypt, فَلَمَّا دَخَلُوا عَلَى يُوسُف, when they entered into the court of Yusuf, when they get there, آوَى إِلَيْهِ أَبَوَيْهِ, he brings both of his parents. And actually the isharat in the Quran and also in the biblical account is that it's not actually his mom, it's his stepmom. His mother actually already passed away. And this was the mother of many of the boys that threw him in the well. But he's still treating her like his mother. And he brings her and he puts both of them on the throne. And awa, to give refuge. As if to say, even though you're the mother of the boys or my brothers who hurt me, I'm not going to treat you like someone else. You're married to my dad, you're like a mother to me. I'm going to treat you like my own mother. And so awa ilayhi abawahi. So he doesn't do that. But the fact that he is now in a position to give them relief. Right? Yusuf was the one looking for relief all this time in refuge, and he's the one now giving the relief. And the father was looking for the relief of finding his son. And now he's being brought and honored by his son. Can you imagine the feeling of Yaqub alayhi salam? His son Yusuf is saying, come here, Baba, come sit here, come sit here, come sit next to me. Right? And he's sitting there on the throne. And years of humiliation, and the first thing Yusuf alayhi salam does is he honors him. That's the first thing he does. Why? Because the man's been humiliated all this time. He could have just gone there and hugged him, but he knew the first thing I have to restore is the dignity of this man. I have to restore his izzah. I have to restore his sense of respect, So you know how you say, عِزُّ الرَّجُلِ اسْتِغْنَاؤُهُ عَنِ النَّاسِ, right, in Arabic? Like the dignity of a person is they're not dependent on people anymore. You don't have to find to hold on to your dignity by yourself while other people are hurling insults at you. Now you get to sit on a throne. وَخَرُّوا لَهُ سُجَّدًا. And the same boys that were arrogant now have fallen into sajda. And now he gets to turn to his father in love. And it's so beautiful that the story opened with a dialogue between a father and a son. And he said, I've seen a dream. And now that same son is turning to the father and saying, this is the interpretation of the dream that I saw. هذا تأويل رؤياي من قبل قد جعلها ربي حقا. Allah made it true. I can't even imagine what it must have felt like hearing those words from Yusuf alayhi salam for Yaqub alayhi salam. Allah made it true. And Yaqub alayhi salam is looking at Yusuf. He's looking at his sons. They're inside. They're humble. After all these years, he's seen them humble for the first time. Right? And he's in this new place where his son's been honored and he's being honored. Something he hasn't imagined for years and years and years of his life, decades of his life. And he says, قَدْ جَعَلَ رَبِّي حَقًّا. The way those words must have just opened up, created an entire garden inside his heart, How many flowers must have blossomed in his heart when he heard those words? I can imagine him just rolling in tears, hearing these words of relief. And then he says, وَقَدْ أَحْسَنَ بِي إِذْ أَخْرَجَنِي مِنَ السِّجْنِ. And Allah was good to me. Because the father wants to know, how have you been all this time? Were you okay? What happened to you when you went? And he could have told him, well, they threw me in a well and I was freezing and I got bit by a snake and I was getting hypothermia and then somebody brought me out and they beat me up and they threw me in the back with the animals and they sold me in a market and then I was serving somewhere as a slave and I had to learn their language and then there was this crazy lady. And he doesn't complain about any of his pain. He knows right now it's time to give my dad relief. He says, Allah was so good to me. the day he brought me out of prison. Like he's telling his dad this, right? He's telling his dad, Dad, I was in prison, but don't worry about that. Allah brought me out of that prison. So is أخرجني من السجن وجاءكم من البدو. And the same Rabb who brought me out of a prison brought you out of the outskirts. Look at the connection. He brought me out of prison. He brought you out of the small towns on the outskirts. What's the connection? Just like I was in a dark place, you on the outskirts had your own prison. My father was imprisoned out there, and my brothers were imprisoned by their own arrogance. And just like he took me out of a physical prison, he brought you out of your psychological prison. Subhanallah. It connects both of them together. وَمِن بَعْدِ أَن نَزَغَ الشَّيْطَانُ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَ إِخْوَتِي. His brothers are right there. They're the criminals. Here's the two victims, father and son talking. The two victims are talking, and the criminals are right there. And he says, he brought me from there, even though the devil caused a friction between me and my brothers. He doesn't say, even though these brothers of mine did this, Allah still saved me. No, he didn't want to shame his brothers. In fact, he even wants to give them some relief. Even them. Oh, look, they're humble now. This is not the time to kick them while they're down. Yes, they messed up. Not right now. Not right now. So من بعد أن نزغ الشيطان بيني وبين إخوتي إن ربي لطيف لما يشاء. My Rabb is so delicate, so gentle, so subtle in whatever he does. Look at his words and look at the name of Allah. The name of Allah is He's Latif, subtle, gentle. And what is he's speaking with his father with gentleness. He's even speaking about his brothers with gentleness. He's creating gentleness as if he's inspired by the name of Allah. Allah has been gentle with me all along. Even when I didn't see that Allah is doing something good for me, I knew He's doing something good, because sometimes Allah's plan is so thin, so gentle, that you can't even see it, but it's there. Right? لطيف لما يشاء. إنه هو العليم الحكيم. He knows everything. He has all the wisdom. Rabbi, then this is the prayer that we heard Sheikh Bakir recite in the beginning, because it's the climax of all of this. Okay, he's talked to his father, and they've had their moment of healing, right? And it's time for this family to move on and have a new beginning. But before that, he can't even help himself. In the middle of talking to your father, you stop talking to your father and you start talking to Allah. I love that about this story. Like, you're having the most emotional moment with your beloved dad, and then you realize, yes, I have to have this relief with my dad, but as much as I'm happy to see him, I just need to talk to Allah right now. He just turns to Allah and says, Ya Allah, Rabbi qad ataytani min al-mulk. My Rabb, you gave me some share of power and kingdom. Meaning, in that word, it's a very loaded word. It's a kinaya here. What he's saying is, Ya Allah, if you didn't put me in this position, I could have never brought my family together. This is not me, you did this. I was in jail. There was no reason I should have got out of jail. There's no reason the king would hear me. There's no reason some corrupt politician wouldn't get me killed. None of that. I didn't deserve any of this. And just because I interpreted a dream or made a demand from another prisoner that I'm not asked him about what happened with those women, doesn't mean the king would listen to this. He's saying women, what do I care about women? Keep him in jail. You are the one who gave me this piece of kingdom. He recognizes this. Everybody in Egypt is impressed with Yusuf, alayhi salam. And Yusuf alayhi salam says, no, I didn't put myself here. I know you put me here. رَبِّ قَدْ آتَيْتَنِي مِنَ الْمُلْكِ وَعَلَّمْتَنِي مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْحَدِيثِ. And you taught me some of the ways to interpret all kinds of speech, just like I interpreted the dreams. In other words, Ya Allah, you gave me this one good, but then you turned that one good into this giant kingdom. There's no connection between the two. If you say, I know how to interpret dreams, therefore I'll become the the minister of finance. There's no connection. You made that connection. That wasn't me. You just gave me this one skill, and look what you did with it. فَاطِرِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Just like Allah created the universe, the skies and the earth out of nothing. The same way you took this something that had no connection, had nothing connections to where I ended up. That's because that's what you do. You are the owner of kun fayakun, right? فَاطِرَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ أَنْتَ وَلِيِّي فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. You're the one who created the skies and the earth out of nothing. You're the one that's my protective friend in this life and in the next life. He's essentially saying, Allah was protecting me when I was in the well. Allah was protecting me when I got taken out of the well. Allah was protecting me when I was being sold. Allah was protecting me when I was serving. Allah was protecting me when I was being attacked by that lady, when I was being falsely accused, when I was thrown in prison. This entire time Allah has been protecting me, and Allah is right now protecting me too. The government is not protecting me, the king is not protecting me, the army is not protecting me, this throne is not protecting me. Just like it was just me and Allah in the prison, it's still just me and Allah right now on the throne. He's not blinded by the situation around him to think, oh, now I have power. Now I'm safe. No, I'm just as weak as I was then, and I'm just as safe as I was then, because Allah is my wali the whole time. And that understanding leads to the understanding of how Allah is going to be with us on Judgment Day. Because it won't matter if we were rich or poor. Allah is our wali in dunya and akhirah. So he says, Anta waliyi fi dunya wal akhirah. It's actually the climax of all relief is knowing Anta waliyi fi dunya wal akhirah. That's the climax of all relief. Tawaffani musliman wa alhiqni bis salihin. Take me as a Muslim and join me. What a way to end this, right? This entire story is about a family that got broken apart, and in the end they had ilhaq. They had a reunion. And he says, yes, this is a reunion, but there's a much more important reunion. And that is when you take me, I'm going to be separated from this family anyway, because I'm going to die. Right? This is a beautiful reunion, but I'm going to go. And then at that point, the most important thing will be, just take me in surrender to you in Islam. I just want to be surrendered to you peacefully. And when I'm raised again, I will need another reunion, but this time I need a reunion with good people. Just raise, it doesn't matter if they're family or not family, that's not the most important thing on Judgment Day. I just want to be on the people of the right hand. That's all that matters to me then. Alhiqni bis salihin. It's perspective. It's what an ultimate perspective. Life, in this life, there'll be union, there'll be separation, there'll be distance, there'll be closeness. But in the end, there will be separation. There will be death. And then there's going to be permanent reunion or permanent separation. That's the only thing that's left. So he puts this reunion and this separation in perspective with the ultimate reunion and the ultimate separation when he says, وَأَلْحِقْنِي بِالصَّالِحِينَ. What a profound, beautiful way to just express his love and his connection to Allah at the end of this amazing, amazing story. So let's have Sheikh Ibrahim have him recite even from the relief of Yaqub عليه السلام فَلَمَّا أَنْ جَاءَ الْبَشِيرُ all the way to this again, and enjoy that and feel the power of these words.
Also the ayah after that, after the relief to Sayyidina Yaqub, was the relief to Sayyidina Muhammad.
Yeah, so beautiful, right?
ذَلِكَ مِنْ أَنْبَاءِ الْغَيْبِ نُوحِيهِ
These are from the news of the unseen we're giving to you, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
SubhanAllah.
Like Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam loves the Quraysh, loves Banu Hashim, loves his uncles, loves his cousins, and none of them are listening to him. And they're acting like the brothers of Yusuf. And Allah is saying, eventually there'll be a reunion for you also. Fath Makkah is coming one day. Right?
SubhanAllah.
So
the feeling of relief, I think Maqam Kurd works with it and Maqam Hijaz as well, but I'm going to use Maqam Kurd inshallah.
Maqam Kurd.
Good maqam to express the feeling of relief.
So the rhythm of it makes you feel a kind of relief. Okay.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم فلما أن جاء البشير ألقاه على وجهه فارتد بصيرا قال ألم أقل لكم إني أعلم من الله ما لا تعلمون قالوا يا أبانا استغفر لنا ذنوبنا إنا كنا خاطئين قال سوف أستغفر لكم ربي إنه هو الغفور الرحيم فلما دخلوا على يوسف آوى إليه أبويه وقال ادخلوا مصر إن شاء الله آمنين ورفع أبويه على العرش وخروا له سجدا وقال يا أبت هذا تأويل رؤياي من قبل قد جعلها ربي حقا وقد أحسن بي إذ أخرجني من السجن وجاء بكم من البدو من بعد أن نزغ الشيطان بيني وبين إخوتي إن ربي لطيف لما يشاء إنه هو العليم الحكيم رب قد آتيتني من الملك وعلمتني من تأويل الأحاديث فاطر السماوات والأرض أنت ولي في الدنيا والآخرة توفني مسلما وألحقني بالصالحين ذلك من أنباء الغيب نوحيه إليك وما كنت لديهم إذ أجمعوا أمرهم وهم يمكرون وما أكثر الناس ولو حرصت بمؤمنين. صدق الله.
Subhanallah. Jazakumullahu khairan, everyone. We'll see you yet again for another episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. For those who want to learn different methods of recitation, for those who want to improve their voice and bring it to a higher level, for those who want to enjoy and delight both prayers and listeners with their voice, for those who want to practice, inshallah, the whole maqamat practically one-on-one with me, sign up here.